Hi everybody watching, my name is Aaliyah, and in this video it's a little different than how I normally share what I normally share. I'm on my way to my favorite park and something just popped up to mind that I thought I should just record this, make a video about it. And what I want to talk about is what I have learned so far when it comes to chronic illness symptoms and detoxing them. Okay, I want to share what I have learned because I am fortunate enough to have learned some paramount facts when it comes to healing some of these chronic things for me personally. And I know that a lot of people struggle with getting a handle on their own detox process. And sometimes people don't know how to approach detox, and so it can lead to toxicity overload and the recirculation of toxins. So I guess, if you're interested in this, then stick around, and I'm just going to share what I find. And I also wanted to bring this up specifically because recently I paid for an intake interview session with Dr. Pompa's program. And what is Dr. Pompa's program? I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like a very expensive detox program. You should look it up to learn more about it. But I was getting ads on my Instagram for a long time, many months, about Dr. Pompa's. Sorry, I need to spit out my gum. I have a little piece of paper right here. I'm just gonna put it in. Yeah, so I was getting ads for his thing for the longest time, and he would actually share really smart and sound information about toxicity and cellular detox and all these things, and it was compelling and led me on to believe that he was doing things that a lot of conventional doctors and things aren't doing. I mean, which is true. It is true. So anyway, at one point I signed up for the intake thing thinking that I am going to pick these people's brains that I get to speak to and supplement my current knowledge and see, kind of like compare and contrast notes, knowledge points, whatever. See if any of his people are going to tell me things that I, am missing in my current protocol, my current program, and just kind of try to fill in the gaps of my knowledge and do my own research. So I had the intake, and I want to try to stay on track here, but honestly, I was really, really, really taken aback and honestly disgusted with the person who did my intake. And I can explain more as to why maybe later, but I want to focus this on just things that I've learned about my detox process, because I shared briefly about my experience with this Dr. Pompa intake thing and how disgusted I was. They basically gatekept the very scientific knowledge that any empowered person needs to know in order to make an informed choice about their own health and what they need to do, and scientifically, like, how these things work and how they differ on an individual basis. It's like, that's what a real consultation is supposed to be like. It's supposed to be, you get the attention that you need to work with someone, and sure, you pay for it because you're paying for someone's time and expertise and knowledge, but it's like, everybody deserves to, be educated about scientifically what's going on with their bodies especially when they're about to invest like a few $1,000s into some long-term committed healing process. So anyway, I posted part of my experience with this intake, and then someone commented on my post saying that she knew a few people who've had really negative experiences with him. And I read online that actually through ChatGPT, I was like telling ChatGPT all these things, and ChatGPT said, yeah, a lot of people have reported they're upset with doing the program and having like crazy detox overload symptoms and being told, like being dismissed and being told, you know, just trust the process, this is supposed to happen, it gets worse before it gets better, blah blah blah, like having their symptoms dismissed and whatever. So that's like why I'm making this video right now, because I want to actually educate people about what I learned about the detox process, and hopefully save people from buying into lies and deception and this gatekeeping bullshit. Like, if they really cared about people's health and they knew that they held the secret to thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people, saving their lives, saving their health, and not having to die or suffer or be bedridden or debilitated because of their cellular inflammation and toxicity, then they would say straight up, they would introduce them to the concept of chelation. They would introduce them to what each of their symptoms means, and the fact that you need to balance first getting your pathways of elimination in order, and then you know, detoxing parasites and bacteria, pathogens, you know, those things, and balancing the gut biome. And then once those critters are you know, under control, then doing the deeper layers of detox through the organ tissues, the brain, the blood. I don't know if blood is a deeper or more superficial layer of the detox, but like the gut is the first you know, layer, because it's immediate. But once the bugs are handled, then you go into the deeper tissue layers, and then you go even deeper. Like, I think that, I don't know, don't quote me on this, and please do your own research, but I know that bones can store, like, I think lead, they store lead and mercury, and like when a mother is pregnant and she has, you know, metals in her bones, you know, to like make the baby, the metals from the mother's bones transfer to the baby in utero. And so there are layers basically to this process. And then there's something called chelation, which is when the cell membrane, the lipid layer around the cell, gets like shaken up, so that toxins can get pushed out of the cells and removed. And that's, you know, that's important to understand how that works. So chelation, this is like probably the only valuable thing I learned from this intake call, and this is like the secret to the Dr. Pompa program. But chelation, you need to do it. If you do it, it has to be timed in a way that you understand the half-life of the chelation. He was explaining this to me, and again, please do your own research. I'm only sharing what I heard, what I learned. I haven't had many conversations with, you know, medical professionals or my hyperbaric practitioner about chelation itself. But I'm literally taking a detox supplement called Carboxy by Cellcore Biosciences that is designed to do a lot of the same things as chelation. It literally, it has fulvic acids, which are pH adaptogenic basically, meaning they can survive in different biomes of the body. So between stomach acid and blood and skin and different organs, they all have different pHs, more alkaline, more acidic. So the pH of fulvic acid is neutral, or not neutral, but adaptogenic, so it can survive in these different environments. And it binds to humectants, which are, my understanding, I'm probably going to explain this maybe sloppily or very scientific, not much scientific justice, but the humectants are like ancient debris or dust, or like really tiny like carbon particles. Basically, it's just carbon, different kinds of carbon. Carbon is the building blocks for life, and it carries these humectants. The fulvic acid carries these humectants that can literally pass between cell membranes and touch the same things that are touched during chelation, but without the worry of re-toxifying. A lot of the things I'm saying, I understand might be foreign concepts to some people, and it might be overwhelming, so I really want to try to make this simple. So basically, Like, a root cause of most chronic illnesses is toxicity, and the cell has receptors, hormone receptors, that control all of our organs and our hormones and everything. And for example, like our pituitary and our, you know, menstrual cycles and whatever else hormones do, they do everything. They do so much. So when the cell has heavy metals or spike proteins, or, you know, different things trapped in like the lipid layer around the cell, it literally blocks hormone receptors, and it stresses out your body's ability to receive nutrients. There's something called bioavailability, and how bioavailable a supplement or a food or something is determined by your cellular receptivity to it, and also the form, the shape. I don't know too much, again, scientifically how to talk about this, but these are just important points you can take to dig a little deeper, do your own research, whatever. So anyway, the cells, when they are inflamed, when they are toxic, they prevent our bodies from doing what they're supposed to do. And then also on top of that, the mitochondria in our cells, which is the powerhouse, the control center, I think it's where ATP is made, which is cellular energy. The mitochondria gets damaged and weakens the immune system. So things that you would normally be able to fight off, like, you know, parasites once in a while, like everybody freaking has them. We all have bad bacteria inside of us, some people more than others, and some bodies, some systems are stronger and more easily able to get rid of them than others. But anyway, you know, we all have these things, and when the immune system is working properly, when the cells are clean, open, not infected by spike proteins or by, you know, toxins in vaccines, the heavy metals, the mRNA proteins, what does it do? I think the like COVID vaccine tells the body, and again, please check me on this and like literally do your research, because not every place that you Google about this is going to tell you the truth. But I'm pretty sure it like tells the body to make spike proteins or to do something. So it's like your body is like producing things that are fighting it, basically. That's all I really understand how to explain. But anyway, all those things affect the body at a cellular level, and when you detox them, you need to make sure your pathways of elimination are open, so that when you bind all that, you know, free floating gunk, radiation, free radicals, viruses, bacteria, chemicals, heavy metals, etc., when you bind those things to the carbon molecules, it needs to have a way out, because if it doesn't have a way out through poop, pee, sweat, moving lymph, even breathing, many toxins are expelled through the breath. But if it doesn't have a way out, it's going to recirculate in the body and then cause another cycle of toxic overload, which includes the classic, you know, brain fog, spilling over into neurological symptoms. For me, I experienced issues with my proprioception. I experienced aphasia. I experienced numbness and tingling in my limbs and even on my tongue one time when I was in Africa. It was the worst flare-up I've ever had, and I was breathing in burning garbage. So I had a really just terrible flare-up, and I genuinely felt like I was dying. And then, you know, fast forward, came back to Florida. Health was just a mess. I mean, I was essentially bedridden for 2 weeks. I was walking around, albeit extremely slowly. I was so delicate. I could not function. I couldn't move. Surviving was literally painful. I had no energy. And, gradually I worked my way up to eventually being able to walk without like feeling faint or feeling like I was about to black out. And, you know, now I'm here and I'm still not, you know, perfect or anything, but my skin has made drastic improvements. Literally the day after I started taking carboxy, I had a massive purge, and it was quite painful. I was on the toilet for like an hour and a half or something. It was insane, but so much came out of me, and it was just, I hadn't had that much pain from literally pooping in months. And I had like a 24-hour diarrhea when I was in Africa, and I don't know what my body exactly was pushing out. It was a combination of many things, I'm certain, because I just got so overloaded and my body was working overtime to try to get rid of it. And I was like doing a major purge, and the next day marked the first day in probably 2.5 years that I was able to take a hot shower without itching profusely, and I was able to exfoliate. Okay, so 2.5 years of eczema flaring up on and off. Couldn't tolerate hot water. I still can't really tolerate hot water fully, and my skin changes on a day-to-day depending if I'm having die-off symptoms. Like if what that means is, I have parasites like most people, and as I kill them, when you kill parasites, they release ammonia, heavy metals, mold, dead viruses, I think, all the crap. Like they just eat all the toxins. I mean, microplastics, I'm sure they eat those too. They love all the garbage, and when they die, they release them, and they also release like millions of eggs when they die. And some parasites in their bodies, they have like many sacs of eggs, and each of them contains like, I think, millions, but it depends on the species. Again, don't quote me on those exact details. Please always do your own research. But anyway, I just wanted to share all of this. I know it was kind of all over the place. Maybe some of this gave you some insight or some lead to go off of to kind of get to the bottom of, your issues if you're dealing with anything. But yeah, I wanted to share this because I had such a terrible experience with this stupid like Dr. Pompa intake, and the way they withheld like actual information that was relevant to me, and the potential for my healing, and like the fact that they said like all of our health advisors are the people who can tell you exactly how this stuff works and can work in your body, but they're at capacity and you need to pay us a couple $1,000s to invest in our multi-month program in order to have access to someone who can actually give you scientific answers. That is absolute bullshit. And the guy was so trained to brainwash and lead with emotional manipulation that he literally tried to tell me that, when I was telling him about my symptoms, like some of that which I just told you with the neurological stuff, the 2.5-year eczema, I dealt with migraines my whole life, and I've been dealing with neurological symptoms for 10 years. Now, pretty much not anymore. Really not so much. Only extremely subtly when I'm going through a die-off wave, when I'm killing the parasites, and the toxins create neurotoxic effects, and some of them are neurotoxic, like mold, whatever. He literally told me, you're acting like this is normal. And he also told me, there was no emotion in the story that you told me. And they do shit like that to try to derail you and manipulate you and bring the focus back to the emotions when you're pressing for scientific information that they're literally withholding from you, and he couldn't fucking hide. And then the questions that I did have related to the science of it, he was like, I don't know all the answers, our health advisors know those, and you can speak to one once you get into the program. And I'm like, well, this is a waste of time because I need to learn this information to decide whether or not this is a good choice for me, whether I can actually get help by learning how this works. Like, what the fuck? And he was like, some of the questions I can answer, like blah, 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 like how the supplements, it was so weird. I asked him, I was like, well, how do you measure the effectivity of supplements? Because, oh my God, and you know what another thing was that he mentioned? He literally said, natural medicine is a gamble. I was like, what the heck? Like, what do you mean? No, it's not. Like, not knowing how things work and trying things blindly is a gamble, but isn't natural medicine what you're doing? And he was like, well, yeah, but we have like tests that prove these things. I'm like, exactly. So you can't just make this blanket statement, you fucking idiot. And, every time I would call him out, or like, I wasn't buying into any of this shit, but he just kept trying to emotionally manipulate me and bring me back to like focusing on, but like, what are your symptoms, and like how negatively is your life impacted right now? Like, he kept trying to redirect the conversation. He was trying to control the flow of the conversation by focusing it on how sad I am and how helpless I feel, instead of answering legitimate scientific questions. And I could go on about this. Again, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but you know, I share this because I'm obviously a critical thinker, and I was investigating, I was doing my research, and I was, you know, faced with someone who is gatekeeping knowledge that could save many, many, many lives, prevent much suffering, much illness. And, you know, because of his values or priorities, or, you know, predatory priorities, like, that is so freaking disgusting, to prey on someone's debilitated state of health and their desperation to get answers, to literally hold the information above their heads. And then not only that, the friend I was telling you about who commented on my post about their friends' experiences with Dr. Pompa's program, she said that they you know, were unhappy with it. And then, like I said, ChatGPT saying that a lot of people experienced intolerable die-off symptoms, but they were told to trust the process and keep going with it. The thing is, like I was saying before, if your pathways of elimination aren't open, if your lymph isn't flowing, if you're not sweating, if you're not pooping, if you're not peeing, you cannot start detoxing. You need to open up the pathways. It's like trying to put in all of your fire logs into the fireplace before the logs in there are already burned down enough. Like, say you have a stack of 10 logs and you're planning on burning a fire for quite a few hours, a bonfire. So you put in 5 logs and you wait quite a bit of time until the ones at the bottom kind of crumble and turn to ash, and then you have room in your fire pit to put more. And the same concept applies to detox, very similar, in the sense that if you are trying to bind heavy metals, mold, toxins, ammonia, whatever, in your cells, in your body, you cannot do that until you have an open channel to put them through. You need to make sure your pathways of elimination are open before you detox, and you need to work with a practitioner who is able and understands the fact that you need to adjust your supplements, your protocol, sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes on a weekly basis, because healing happens in waves. And when you're detoxing major things like this, sometimes you'll need to lighten up on the kill, which is killing parasites, killing, you know, bacteria overgrowth, candida, babesia, whatever. I'm just reading an interesting bumper sticker sentence on the car in front of me. It says, hell is a real place created for a real devil, but if you rejected Jesus Christ as Savior, you will be in hell. Okay, well, yeah, that's a little intense. I just wanted to read what it said, and I figured I'd include you in that, but anyway. Yeah, so detoxing, yeah, you gotta just pace yourself. And a lot of the people, it sounds like in Dr. Pompa's program, were not empowered or educated to understand really what is going on or be in control of their own detox process, because this is not something conventional medicine teaches. It's not something that's like widely accessible. So that's why I'm making this video, to share my experience, my knowledge, what I've learned, hopefully educate and empower people who are walking on this path. But you know, for example, I was having a detox overload wave of symptoms about a week or 2 ago, and they were actually debilitating. The skin in the creases of my elbows and my knees, for example, were so dry and like reptile crackly, like an elephant, like literally like an elephant, that one day I woke up and my elbow crease, when I bent it past 45 degrees, it literally felt, or is it 90 degrees? A right angle. Why am I not remembering whether it's 45 or 90? I think it's 90. Yeah, I think it's 90. 90. When I bent it past 90 degrees, like closed it, it literally felt like I was pressing on a bruise, because my skin was so inflexible. My skin barrier was so compromised. So I was experiencing that. I was also having that same thing in the creases of my knees, and behind my knees, and the skin on pretty much I want to say 40% of my legs, around my knees, my thighs, the backs of my knees, was so crusty and dry, and also it was leaking plasma. Okay, my skin was literally leaking plasma because the amount of parasites I was killing inside of my body caused more toxins to be released than my pathways of elimination, lymph, sweating, pooping, peeing, was able to release at that time. So what did we do? What did I do with my hyperbaric oxygen therapy practitioner who has been helping me through this whole journey and teaching me everything that I'm telling you right now? What did I do? What did we do? We lowered the kill and we increased the pathways of elimination, and she put me on carboxy. And when I took carboxy, my skin changed overnight, over freaking night. And I was able to take a hot shower without burning and itching profusely. It was an overnight shift because carboxy went in and cleaned up all that crap. I'm gonna pause this because I'm just getting to the gates at my park right now. So anyway, that's like pretty much all that I wanted to say. I think I'm just gonna end it now. Hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd be curious to hear if you have anything you want to share or whatever. I'm here to support. I'm here to help. I'm here to share what I know. And everyone deserves empowerment. Everyone deserves healing. Knowledge is free, okay? So don't let people hold that shit over your heads, because we're suffering enough and we deserve justice. Our bodies deserve justice. So I'm going to let you go. I'll talk to you guys next time. I'm sending so much love. Bye.